So, you want what we learned about my family? The first thing, it was grandfather. The act of birth of my grandfather in Russian. It was in 1890, and we were very surprised to see this act. It's something I never saw like this. Afterward, we in the museum they give us a page of telephone annuaire. You know what is it? A book, a telephone book, and there was the name of my grandfather, of many members, many workers of my grandfather, and the address of the shops in Warsaw. We want to see the place of these shops, and we turn in Warsaw with a taxi, and we see every place. More of the shops were in good places. Even today, they were not burned in the war, and it was very interesting. My wife did photos of every place. Afterward, after we leave of Warsaw 1 year ago, we have contact with Noam in Warsaw, and we send him what we know, and he sent us many things about the family, about this act of the birth of the community, Jewish community, I understand, of Leon Deitel, who he said to us, I did know this, that my tutor, my uncle, my husband of my aunt, sent a letter to Warsaw, not to Warsaw, to Lodz, and this came to Warsaw, that I born. They know it because my Leon Eitel, שלח this letter to a letter of my grandmother that I born in Warsaw, and where they can meet me. Said Lipki, I think it's a village where I was hidden during the war, and I didn't know that he sent a letter. If the community can find someone, for taking me to France, to adopt me, or to take care of me. He sent us the Shelmia Street, the building, the street 122, and for the register before the war, that this was a building of my grandfather. I bought it from the uncle, from the brother of my grandmother. This building is even a very good place. You have the photography too. Well, you can see the photography even in the internet, because there are many photographies of this building in the internet.
Before we move to your personal story, could you please tell in more details what you know about your family from before the war? So, and when you mentioned your grandfather, your father, could you please tell their names? So we know.
About my grandfather and my father, I know because my aunt in France told me about him, about my grandfather, that he had a factory, art factory, and many shops in Warsaw.
What was his name? What was his name?
His name Joseph Lauer, and before is Hermann Lauer. My grandfather, it was Hermann Hirschlauer, and my grandfather Joseph Lauer. My father Ježek Lauer. In France, they'll call him George, because Ježek for the university in Nancy, it was not so good. And my father live in the same place I was. His aunt, Nusha, and he was when he was learning in Nancy, you know, in France, to be a chemist engineer. What I know about this?
When was he living in France?
When? No, 1935 to 1939.
No, 37, 38.
No, 39. Because 39 he came back to Pauline, and this is the end of the. Afterward, he have to be in Sweden to do a stage in his work, and he didn't come back. About
to visit the parents and the girlfriend, Frida, and to go to Sweden to do stage.
About my mother, we know only her name, nothing more, not a picture, not what family.
No, family, yes.
No, family name we have, but we don't know what family. We have many Blumenstock in Warsaw. What family from this? And no one knows something about only my aunt in Israel said once, maybe this was the small girl she was in the same school, but I'm not sure. They have a shop near the place they were living, but nothing.
And where did they meet? Did they meet your parents? Do you know that?
They met in Warsaw, and they married in Warsaw too. And I born in Warsaw, but more details I don't know. After it's from the heritage. They say that after I born, my grandmother took me with Léon Deitel, and after she died, he take me to his brother, Eitel. My brother dead too, and I was his wife of his brother. until 45, that Alina took me to France. And in France, I learned in a good school. I do baccalaureate. I don't know. You know what is it? And afterward, I came to Israel.
And what do you know about the fate of your family during the war?
The family were in France, or
No, the family that was in Polish. What do you know? What happened to your parents?
to my parents, nothing. We were in Auschwitz. In Auschwitz, you have in Auschwitz you have many names of Jewish with. It's not. You know that the Germans are very straight. They write everything. But afterward, we are in Treblinka. In Treblinka, you have nothing. You know this. They burned everything. And probably it was Treblinka because they were living in Warsaw. It's easier to take to Treblinka. I can't know anything. Probably it was in 42 they are burned. Nothing. My grandmother dead, not from German, maybe from because she was she was very sad about everything, and she's buried in Christian tombs in Warsaw. My grandfather dead, but I don't know exactly. Kanier Treblinka too. Cousins, you saw it. Roman dead before. Roman Lauer dead before the war. It was the brother of my grandfather. It's under Roman Kaelin during the war. It's from it's the cousin of, not the cousin, of my grandmother.
And what do you know about their life before the war, their professions? What have you learned?
See, about my grandfather, you know it. My grandmother.
Please tell it, because
he was a commerçant. He have, I see, he has the boutiques of hats and ties, and he was a part of the factory, hat factory, because it was an not association, a company, and part of it. My grandmother didn't work, and the family of my grandmother, I said you, one was a doctor in Michigan, Muskegon, Michigan. One was a scientist in Cambridge. You can know more about it, David Kaelin. And Alexander was, I think, engineer. Her daughter was in Israel, Irene Mittelman. What else? My family, about what I know about it.
There is a document here. The parents married on March 40.
1940. Mm-hmm.
And probably dead on August 42.
Mm-hmm.
And between 40 and 42, I born.
And he was born on 41.
Yes, but before we move to your birth, have you heard anything about your family? What was their were they religious? Were they assimilated? Were they rich? I guess if they were running
Yes.
factories, they were wealthy. But do
Yeah,
you know
they-
anything about
The
the situation of the family?
see, about rich, I don't know rich, but a very good condition, sure. Religious, no, but traditionalist, you know, they were Jews. Everyone married Jewish or Jewish. And the Jews, they were Jews, not assimilated. I know that they were traveling to France one or twice a year, and from France they are coming to Warsaw to meet the family one or twice a year too. There was very united family until the war.
And can you please tell the story about the house at Chmielna 122? What happened?
What happened? I learned about it just one month ago.
C'est bien de dire des conneries. Excuse me. We know about that because the towns from Tel Aviv and from Paris tell us about that because the grandmother Paulina lives there. It was the building of Mordor Kelin, and on 1939 he said to the grandmother Jeanette.
Yeah, but about the
Can you
lies.
tell it because you know for the recording it will be better because.
No, we know about it, but not with the details we have today. We know that he had many houses and buildings in Warsaw. The aunt who came from Warsaw in 1935 to Israel remember it. But not the detail we have today. What we have today, the details that the brother of my grandmother sold this building to my grandfather. The building was in the family from one to the other. About the shops and everything, we know often generally, not specific, that there is shops and apartments and everything, but we don't know where. Only when we came to the museum with a phone book, we know the exact address of everything. And we have from Noam too some addresses in Warsaw. But what we know now is not what we knew before.
You told me before that this house at Chmielna 122 was sold to, if I understood correctly, if it was sold to
Was sold to my grandfather.
grandfather.
My
But-
grandfather is Joseph Lauer. Leon Eitel was living in this house with my grandmother, but in apartment of the building. He was not the owner of the building.
I see. Okay.
You don't saw the paper where it's written that the owner of the building is Joseph Lauer, not Eitel. Eitel.
Okay, he was
Wha-
living
wha-
there, in the building.
He was living in this building, and he saved me and many people. He was a very good man, I think.
Do you know who of your family was in the Warsaw Ghetto?
Was?
In the Warsaw Ghetto. In the ghetto of
I
Warsaw.
I don't know, but I think no one. Because someone were aiding, someone were taken to Treblinka or to Auschwitz, and Leon Eitel, maybe another people help them to don't go to ghetto and to be hidden in some place. I don't know about it anything. Only what we said was what to learn in our travel in Warsaw.
And how your family knew Leon Eitel? Do you know anything about how they got in touch? Where they met, or what? They were friends, right? With
Yeah.
Leon Eitel.
As they met, I don't know.
And so, what do you know about the help provided by Leon Eitel to your family?
I know that he helped to Alina. Alina was not my family in this time because she was divorced of the cousin of my father. But okay, family. I know about me, sure, and Roman too, and maybe odd someone. I think the brother of Roman too, but I don't remember his name. But he died during the war, not from the Nazi, but from something else. Maybe he was ill, I don't know.
So Halina was an ex-wife of your
Roman Kalin.
of Roman. Okay, and they were both helped by Leon Eitel, and you.
And me. And me from the day I born.
And so, what do you know about your birth?
Nothing. I don't remember this time.
So it was 1941, right?
Yeah.
And where do you know where your family was at this time? Your parents?
At this time, I think they were with my grandmother. I think so, because my grandmother took me the same day or after 1 week. I don't know to her, but exactly where I don't know. They were not in the ghetto, I think, but maybe they had an apartment. Maybe one had an apartment in Shenmia or another place, but exactly where I don't know.
And so, what do you know about this? The story of your rescue. So you were born, and what happens then? It's 1941, and what happens then?
what happened to me. I think, I don't know exactly, that I was in Leon Eitel 1 year, maybe less, I am not sure. After I remember some things, not that was in Lipki. In Lipki there was the sister-in-law of Leon Eitel. She's taking care of me. Care, I don't know what kind of care. Many and his mother, grandmother, I don't know, of the wife, I think. And for 4 years I was in Lipki, like every boy in Lipki. We are outside all the day. In summer, very hot, and in winter with snow in every place. It was very good for me. But I remember that I saw many Germans in Lipki. They were coming to drink or something. And the priest of the church, there was a church in Lipki in this time, today no, was telling them that I am the son of his sister, and it took me to this place to have a good air. And it was all right. The German gave me how do you say, bonbon. And it's very fine. If they knew that I am a Jew, was not the same thing. When I came to France, I did know that I am a Jew. When they said me after some months that we are Jews, it was very hard for me. I am crying. I say, I am a good boy, and I am not Jew. Why? Because I heard all the time that Jews are, it's not good. And it was very hard for me to be Jew. I did not anything, I said. I'm a good boy. Why you say that I'm Jew? It's very hard to understand it. But I didn't know what is Jew. Today I know it's not so bad.
Who was telling you that Jews are not good?
We said me?
Who told you that? Who was telling you
that? That Jews is not good? Everyone. Every guy said me this. Not said me, exactly. I heard him while speaking. Maybe they are good guy, but I heard from the Germans, they are saying that from everyone, not from the priest.
What name were they calling you in Lipki?
When in Joseph.
And what are your...
And in Tzarfat it was Jojo.
And what are
in French.
And what are your memories from this time in Lipki?
Good. I was very ill when I came to France, but I didn't feel anything. It was all right. I am coming out with all the boys, and we are playing together. No problem. But when I came to France, they checked me. The doctors, say that I have a problem with my poumon, you know, is it tuberculosis? They have no money to send me to Swiss. As they gave me oil of morue. I don't know what it is. The oil of fishes, fish.
It's
No
disgusting.
good, but it worked. And after 1 year, everything was all right. 1 year, 2 years, I don't know exactly, but no, everything was all right. But it no pain or something. It was all.
You were a very little boy, but maybe you remember how you felt in this house in Lipki. Did it feel like home? You felt like in like
It
home?
was a very small apartment on home. You have to. We have stairs to go. Stairs. Home, wood home, and there are only two rooms. One big room and a small room, and we are 3 people in this room, in this place. It was not a good place, but I have no. I can't compare because I don't remember anything else. No, not apartment or something. When I came to Paris, I understood the difference.
And so, who was living in this house?
As the sister-in-law of Léon Aitel, and her mother, I think. No, I am sure that's her mother.
And you went there a few days ago. How did you feel going back to Lipki?
It was very interesting for me. I was looking for something that I knew, as I asked some people who were 75 old or 80 old, and when I remember the bunker we are going when the Americans were bombing the place, and they are lighting bougie, comment on dit? And candles. They are lighting candles, and I didn't saw this place. And she said me, oh, they broke it years ago, and they are building. And he was near the forest, and at the forest I remember, because we were playing in this forest, and the house where I lived don't exist anymore. But the place is not the same place exactly. They built many villas, many. It's very fine place, and the people was very good people. So everyone speak to us, and no problem.
Try to
It was very good to be here. I am happy that we were to Lipki.
Were you afraid of this trip, of going back? How did you feel before you decided to go?
No. To know him, I remember anything, and I was not sure. On the beginning, I was not sure that is the place, But afterward, they said me about the bunker, about the forest. I saw that that is the place. And see, it's very it's emotion to this to so after so many years. It's not. It's a very long time.
Were there any new memories that came after this visit?
Des souvenirs qui sortent de ça.
Some of the, I said to Ariela when we were is the stairs like in the room we are living.
Again, is the same house like this, but on the steps, it was just only the steps, not the side, and he.
I was afraid to
when it was snow and raining, it was a little bit.
So this house was standing there.
No,
No.
it's I say the stairs, the similar stairs,
house.
but in a better condition. not
But nobody remembers this family. Maybe they are living there only.
But no, maybe that the house was of the grandmother or the mother of sister-in-law of Eitel. Maybe that they were in location or so during the war, but no one, even the people say 80 old or don't remember Eitel in this place, and it's impossible because it was a very small village, and if there was one house Eitel, everyone knew it. But Eitel was, but the house was of someone else. I don't know who.
And how old was Jadwiga Eitel at the time?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe for a small boy, 30 is old. Maybe 40, but it's I don't know exactly because when I was 5, it was very old. When I was 20, old, but not very.
But the family from Paris, the grandmother gives money to this family. Maybe to live there.
Yes,
Because nobody knows.
Yes, I want to ask about what you know about the rescue. So, what do you know? What happened? There is a very special object connected to the story of rescue, which is still with you. So maybe you can show it and tell the story of this cigarette box.
Maybe first.
Okay,
This way.
then show it later. Okay, so could you please tell the story of of your rescue? What do you know about it?
About my rescue?
Rescue, yes.
What I said you that Leon Eitel was married my grandmother, maybe to rescue her because he was younger.
It was 37 years.
37 years, and she was, but
was 52, 53.
maybe it was love. I don't know. And after he helped her to survive, and sure helped me, but I don't remember him. because I don't remember that I met him in any place. I know, what I know, they what said me now, and that he was a comedian and singer, and he was, and the, I think he changed his name after the war. I think between the documents you have the new name too. I don't remember, but he said it was a known comedian. I don't know anything about it. So, and my rescue, that's all the story, nothing else.
So it was your grandmother who gave you, and what else did she give to Jadwiga Eitel with you?
My grandmother gave me to Eitel. Eitel gave me to sister-in-law.
Did she give
He lives,
what?
he lives with the grandmother and the Eitel, the parents.
But
and when the grandmother died in 1942, they went there.
Yeah.
could you please tell the story of this?
Of the cigarette box. When he left me in Lipki, he gave the cigarette box to sister-in-law, and he sent me afterward when someone shall come to take me to show him this cigarette box, and this signal that I am the boy of Jerzek Lauer, and they have to took me to my aunt in France or in other place, because even in USA we had family, and maybe they took me. By after they make up their mind to take me to France, because my father was in France too, and it's better for me. Sure, they took me to France, but the cigarette box was my identity card. I have no something else to identify me. And even today, this box is an identity card for my wife.
And while living in Lipki, did you know about the cigarette box?
When
That it's yours?
yeah, but the cigarette box was mine, but where we are in the railway, my Alena said me, I want to exchange you for cigarette books against toffees, and for a young boy, toffees is better than cigarette books, and gave her. But when we came to Paris, my aunt saw the cigarette books. She know the cigarette book. What do you do with the cigarette books? And she said, oh, we exchange. We can exchange with a small boy who knows what is it for him. He gave back.
It was the box of the father.
He gave it back to the family, and they had it upon I live in France. They give.
And your wife mentioned that that there was money involved in your rescue. Could you please tell what you know about that issue?
Qu'ils avaient dit qu'ils donnaient la moitié de l'argent.
No, I heard about it, that when Léon Heitel took me to Lipki, he gave some of money, I don't know how much, and he said when they took me, they'll give her the same sum for taking care of me and everything. I don't know. I was a small boy. I don't see so what they do exactly.
And was Jadwiga, because there was Jadwiga and her, you were three in the house in Lipki. There was you, Jadwiga, and her husband, right?
And her husband, no.
No, who was there?
Who died when I was 1 year old, or 1 year and a half, or 2 years old, as I remember. The tuberculosis, this is the heritage from him.
Okay.
He was also when he come to Earth.
So you, and so how was Jadwiga? How was she treating you during those years in Lipki? What was your
It was
what were the feelings between you?
Not a very good wife. Comment dirais-je, j'ai reçu de plus de coups que de baisers. More slaps. That time when I was doing pee-pee during the night, it was very hard for me. And the grandmother was sending me when I was 3 to buy vodka for her. And she was, and the daughter knew that he can go to the village to buy vodka, as he was giving me slaps because I bought vodka for her mother. But see, I don't cry about it because it was my life. I have nothing else. Nothing to eat, nothing to love. My life. You understand me that was not something special to get slaps. Part of life. Afterward, I didn't have slaps, as it was all right too.
But how do you treat Jadwiga and her mother? Do you thought as a child that they are your family members, or you felt that they are some actually strangers to you?
No, it was not a stranger for me because I have nothing else. If I knew my parents or my grandmother, they were strange for me, but I don't know, not my grandmother, not my parents. I don't remember her name, but...
Never says mom.
No, but I not... For me, it was not something mom or grandmother, or... I don't know. What I call them, I don't call them. I spoke to them.
So do you remember the moment when Halina came to take you?
Yes, I remember this. Because the first time I traveled in, I think it was train from Lipki to Warsaw. And I remember we go to the apartment where her mother were. I don't remember the mother exactly, but she was some. I remember that Warsaw was very sad for me. In Lipki everything was green and good air and everything. Warsaw not. After one day, I think we traveled in railway to Paris. For me, very long time. I don't know exactly what. I remember that it was night in the train, but I don't know if they give me 10 hours or 8 hours or 5 hours. I don't know.
And do you know when was it? When?
When it was in the winter, I think. It was cold, but I was not afraid of cold because in Lipki it was not hot in this time. And but I remember that in Paris they give me a new vest, a new everything was new. Shoes and.
And do you remember your feelings about this moving from Poland to France?
It was hard for me. They gave me in Paris a fine room with everything was fine, and the new dress and everything, but I was not happy of it. I was thinking about my friends in Lipki and our place in Lipki, and every night I was dreaming that I am on balançoire. Okay. And I was fast, and I was falling in Lipki. I was dreaming about Lipki. After some months, I didn't remember Lipki. And after I heard that I am Jew, that it was very hard to be Jew, because in Lipki I heard about Jews, not very good things, and it was a shame to be Jew.
So were you asking questions, what it means? What it meant to you then?
In the same moment they said me, I only cried that I don't know to be Jews, and I am a good boy. I didn't anything no good. And afterward, I asked, and slowly they explained me what the sense to be Jews.
So how did you understand the sense, being a boy?
Being boy, see, I was not exactly like my friends in France in the school, because all the friends had a father and a mother. And I have father and mother, but old.
The same name.
And they have the same name. My name was in French Lauer, and the name of my parents was Bernfeld. And sometimes the teacher was not so clever, and they asked me, "Why Bernfeld signed for you in this paper?" you know what is children they were laughing. He has no father. He's orphan. It was like a shame to be. I have to be ashamed to be orphan. I am, and they didn't want to change my name to Bernfeld because they want that name Lauer. I am the last Lauer. They didn't want to do me Bernfeld. Afterward, I understood this, but in the beginning it was very hard to see. In France, afterward, you had anti-Semitism and you know what is anti-Semitism? Anti-Semitism. And they knew that I am Jew because I told it. It was very hard. Jewish, dirty Jewish, and I had afterward. I knew that there were more Jewish in the school, but they didn't tell anything about it. Where I know when I go to Jewish movement, though I met them. Celia, דווקא, זה היה...
Speak Hebrew.
Why they were afraid to tell that they are Jewish?
Because of the anti-Semitism in France. They don't want to be like me, that I have they are boxing me. But because I was very feeble, thin. See, and this until I was 13, as I give box to one of them, his father phoned to my father to tell him that I give. As Omar, he said me, why did you do that? He said me a dirty Jew. He said me, you did it very good.
Could you say something more about your family in France? So Halina Kozan took you from Lipki.
From Lipki to Warsaw, and from Warsaw to Paris. She come back to Warsaw. I know now that she married some professor, and they come to France. She was in France until 1 year. Before 1 year, she died. She was 99 and something, before 100. And all the time, Ariella, my wife, said me, you know that he's in France. Why do you look for his telephone or something? I said, she's 100 old. And after all, I look for his name in the internet, and I found it. It was his name, her name, and the name of her husband. But the third thing I found, it was about he's dead, that he's dead, and if you want to, there is a site in the internet. If you want to send flowers, Bediuk dead 2 months before we came to Warsaw.
It was a big mistake.
She wrote she wrote a book, and he was translating from.
Which book she writes? Maybe
I will look for it. Yes.
maybe about
I think
the
that
war.
he wrote in Polish and in French. And his husband was professor in the university of this place. Attends, tu peux lui donner l'endroit où il est. Roman Kaelin.
J'ai donné.
No, in the Yad Vashem,
When you
a message of.
when you want to see the film, the picture in Yad Vashem, the first picture you see Roman.
You know,
And who are your new parents in France?
the best new parents, I can dream about them. Ariela knew my father in France. He was very good friends. Eh?
But they doesn't want to speak about the war. Nothing. Nothing.
You
When
know,
we begin to ask, forget.
they don't want to speak about the war because it was very hard for them. Their family, my uncle had family in Romania, and they dead too. My aunt, it was in Poland. You know, in Poland, you know what happened. They were
You will see.
going from place to place to.
During the war, the uncle, his wife, and the two children, Michel and Marcel, going to, the south of France, because it was without German. And there, they help to people to do passport or.
Mais Marcel, il a enseigné dans un séminaire de curé.
You know what is évêque?
Et après, il est devenu évêque.
Oui, mais l'évêque, comment on dit évêque?
Bishop,
Bishop
archbishop.
of quelle ville c'était? Quelle ville?
Et Carcassonne.
Help them. Okay, but so they were not related to your family, or were they related? I mean, because I don't get your new parents. How it happened that you lived with them? I mean, why them?
La tante du mort, j'étais encore gamin, de grand-tante. She died when he was 30.
Yeah.
So, your new parents, were they members of your family?
Yeah. My aunt was the sister of my grandmother, and his husband was not. There was a family because he married my aunt, but it was a parent completely. He adopted me like a son, and he was very happy that I came to Israel. he was a Zionist and do everything for Israel. When the first ambassador of Israel came to Paris, he has no money to let an house or to buy comment on dit vêtements?
Close.
Dress.
Good dress and everything. And he came to see him and he paid for him and he still everything. When he came back to Israel, he sent every year for Rosh Hashanah oranges and the cart. Thank you for everything. 20 years, I remember. It was, he did meetings in France that France have to know on Israel after America and Russian. No, he was very happy that I came to Israel. It was his dream to be in Israel. He came to we married in Israel, and Maria who came to kibbutz where we were, Betoren, near Haifa. You know what it is?
We were soldiers.
Yes, so could you tell me now about your life in Israel? When was it when you left France?
Left France in 1960. I came to Israel, it was in July, I think. And I was in kibbutz Betoren. And after 3 months, I learned Hebrew in Jerusalem, in Ulpan, very, very hard, 12 hours a day. And I go to the army, 2 years and something. And during the army, I married with Ariela. An officer, it was enough for me. I have to have 2 officers. The first one, it's Ariela. And afterward, we lived in the kibbutz, and we came to Ashdod. Her family was here. They came before her to Israel. And we had a small apartment from, you know what is a sornut? Comment on dit sornut? And it was very fine, small apartment. And I look for work, and Ariela was to work too. And slowly,
we was together in France, in Paris,
so
on like scout. You know what is scout? Yes.
Palais Scout.
Scouting. So how did you meet in scouting in France?
We met in 1958, and in a movement, youth movement, and in Montpellier, yeah. Near Montpellier, it was Viol-le-Fort, no? It's a small place. They do seminars.
Zionist camp.
And she come back to Morocco afterward, and we wrote many letters from Morocco to Paris, from Paris to Morocco, and she come back in France in 59, no?
Yes.
In 59, and she was in Toulouse. I know we were half a year, and afterward we traveled to Israel.
And so, whose decision was it to move to Israel? I mean, how this decision was taken?
See, in the youth movement, you learn about Israel. It was it was the idea to come to
Il raconte qu'on était des mandriquines.
Oui, comment on dit?
Oui.
Before you went to Israel, you knew it's for life?
Yeah, it was the idea to come here, to go to the army, and afterward to live in Israel and to have comment on dit un enfant? Children in Israel, and everything, to be Israelis.
And how did you feel about this idea about becoming Israelis?
How I feel?
How you felt then about this idea?
Tu étais sioniste, tu as voulu réaliser un rêve.
Oui. No, see, in the house, I said you, my father was Zionist, and it was very important for him, Israel. And afterward, I go to the youth movement that I learned about Israel. And it was an ideal to come to Israel, to live in Israel. It's not only to be in army or to be.
Another country.
The problem was not to leave France. The problem, the ideal was to be here, not in another place. And even today, I don't want to be another place.
Tu voulais pas que les enfants, on les traite de sales juifs.
Also, I said you, when I was in school, they tell dirty Jew, and I didn't want that our children in France they be dirty Jewish. In Israel, there is no dirty Jewish. They are. It's an honor to be Jewish, not a shame to be Jewish. And our sons are in Israel too. Even that the elder was in America 4 years, but he don't want to stay in America. He want to be here. He was in America only for work, not for to leave Israel. And the second one too, and the third is here too.
We are happy.
And what was your professional life?
Professional life, I work 3 years in Leumi Bank, and after I left Leumi Bank, I worked in municipality of Ashdod. I was director of the cashment, and after I learned a lawyer in the University of Tel Aviv, and I began to work in the bank, in the Poalim Bank, and said that I can do a stage in the bank, but I have no place to stage, and I work like comment on dit, vice director of the place, and afterward I didn't do the stage. Our young son learned in Tel Aviv. They did the stage, and he's working in bank, in Leumi Bank.
So he follows your steps. During those years in Tel Aviv, in Israel, when you were an adult, were you thinking about the past in Poland and in France?
Alors,
Je comprends pas.
pendant que tu vis ici, est-ce que tu penses à la Pologne ou à la France?
I think about. I think about, but not. Sometimes we travel to France too to meet the rest of the family.
Explique quand même que le fait que tu as été orphelin et tout, ça t'a traumatisé tout le long de ta vie, quand même. Tu m'expliques. Of course, to be, to know the parents and all the family that's in Poland. He doesn't want to.
No, it was very hard.
His wife.
You can not not remember this, but it's
I'm not to remember.
but it's you cannot no think about it. After and I think that my wife think about it more than me. She wants all the time that we go with travel to Warsaw to see what we can learn about it. And she is right. We learned many things. You can't forget everything, but you cannot live with remember every time. It's good to think about it, but not all of the time. You have to live the new life that you have here.
Were you telling to your children your story? Do your children know your story?
Yeah.
We take
Now the grandsons are learning in school about it, and I was in the school to speak about this life. It was very fine, and they photographies of the cigarette box and this is a cigarette box and the knife too. When I was in Lipki, I had a small knife, and I cut my finger. It's put me what they are putting araignée, toile d'araignée, tu vois that?
Oh, non, il regarde. It's good to insect.
A bee. A bee.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Now you know what is it? Spider web.
Ah, spider, yes. Yes.
Spider.
Yes.
Spider web. Someone put me on this, and it's all right, but not so.
Yes, it's visible.
And they did a photo of this knife too. It was my plane in Poland to cut some branch and everything, and my finger too.
So it was your work. You had to cut. What were you cutting?
I was cutting a branch of one to do, I don't know what thing, and but I work not in this direction, but in this direction. So
Your wife said that you didn't want to talk about the war, your past from this time, and so what made you talk about it and come back to this? Was it Ariella?
I think. Hein?
Connaît détruit ta famille.
See, to talk about it, it was because it's not good members to you have. But when my grandchildren learned in the school about Shoah and everything, and asked me questions about it, I thought that better to talk about it, and and good that the new generations knew about this this war and what happened in this war, and they knew about the world like he is, not to think. You have Israelis who say that to go to Berlin because the life is better. For me to go to Berlin, I feel not to
Too busy.
and not for 1 week, 1 day. I don't want. I see. I see. I think that everything is not perfect with the Jews, and even today, you can see that the right part in politics is going up. And I remember that the right is not friends of the Jews, even in Poland.
And what does it mean for you today to have this Polish background and French background and Israeli background?
See, background of Polish background, it's only very small background. But French, I can't tell you that it's not. It's nothing for me. I learned in French. I have friends, even today in France, not too much, but some friends. I have some family in France. About Poland, I think that it's not special for me. I don't. I left Poland 72 years ago, and I don't remember too much. I don't know Polish. When I am in Warsaw, it's like if I am in Roma or in every place in the world. It's not special for me. In Lipki, I feel something, but not really something special. In France, he said. Okay.
Okay.
Then what?
I will check my my notes. Maybe you would like to add something that you find important that was not mentioned. If there is anything like that.
No, if I think you have to begin with life in Israel. My children, my grandchildren. I hope grandchildren once.
My last question would be, how do you feel about now being in this process of finding your roots, finding information about your family? Is it exciting? Is it a bit scary? Is it you feel good about it, or what's
see, we can say it's exciting because it's on the beginning. I don't think I didn't think that we can find something special, but now the first thing we saw is the birth act of my grandfather. It was something special, and the telephone book in the museum. I see the name of my family in this book, and after we were in Warsaw with a taxi, and we saw all the places where the family were. It was very exciting, but what I regret that about my father and my mother, nothing about my mother, nothing about my father. I have some information from the family here, family in France, and about my mother, nothing. I don't know why nothing. She born in Warsaw. She was in a school in Warsaw. She was in university in Warsaw. Nothing. It's very hard. This.
What just describe it a bit. What kind of inscriptions are on it, and what just to show what is there.
It's the cigarette box of my father. They gave him to Mrs. Eitel in Lipki, and it was my sign of knowledge if they find me, to know that I am Joseph Lauer.
After the war?
After the war, sure. During the war, no one was searching me.
And can you tell what kind of inscriptions? What is written on that?
This inscription, it's Ježek. Tell me, I don't know.
The name of my father.
The name of my father, and this is the date he had this box for anniversary.
What's written exactly?
1927.
And could you please, because it didn't appear in the interview, where Lipki is?
Lipki is not far from Treblinka.
You know, it's near Treblinka.
And I think that it was the best place to hide a Jew, because they are not searching Jews in Treblinka. I think that the soldiers German soldiers I saw in Lipki came from Treblinka.